What if I told you that the slow changes in your vision, the blurriness at night, the trouble reading small print, the glare from headlights, may not be just aging, but something happening quietly in your body while you sleep? I've had patients in their 60s and 70s sit across from me and say, "Doctor, I feel like my eyes are getting worse every year no matter what I do." And what concerns me isn't just the vision loss, it's that no one ever explained what's driving it. Because in many cases, the damage doesn't start in the eyes. It starts with blood sugar fluctuations, inflammation, and tiny blood vessels that struggle overnight, especially after dinner. Now, here's the part most people have never been told. One simple food, something as ordinary as a bean, may help support your eyes during those critical nighttime hours. And the one I'm about to show you works very differently than you think. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Number 6, common beans. People eat but don't help much at night. Let me be honest with you, this is where many of my patients unknowingly go wrong. They're eating what they've been told are healthy beans and still wondering why their vision keeps slipping year after year. I hear it all the time from people in their 60s and 70s. "Doctor, I switched to beans instead of bread. I cut back on sugar. I'm doing everything right." And they are trying. But here's the problem. Most common beans people rely on, like baked beans, canned bean mixes, or even large portions of pinto beans at dinner, don't behave the way you think they do once the sun goes down. At night, your metabolism slows, your body becomes less efficient at handling glucose, and your insulin response isn't as strong as it was 20 or 30 years ago. So when you eat certain beans, especially processed ones or large portions late in the evening, they can still break down into glucose faster than your system can comfortably manage. You may not feel it right away, but inside your body, your blood sugar can stay elevated longer than it should. And that matters more than most people realize, especially for your eyes. The tiny blood vessels in the retina are extremely sensitive to these fluctuations. Repeated spikes, even mild ones, can quietly damage those vessels over time. That's when you start noticing subtle changes. Difficulty focusing at night, more glare when driving, or that feeling that your eyes just don't recover as quickly as they used to. Now, I'm not saying beans are bad, far from it. Many of them are excellent during the day when your body is more metabolically active. But timing, portion, and type matter, especially after 60. A heavy bowl of beans at 8 or 9 p.m. may do more harm than good if your goal is to protect your vision overnight. A more practical approach is to keep evening portions smaller, avoid sweetened or highly processed versions, and pay attention to how your body responds the next morning. If you're waking up with blurry vision or dry, tired eyes, that's not something to ignore. It's a signal. Because here's the key point most people miss. Not all beans support your body the same way at night. And the next one I'm going to show you starts to change that equation in a very different and much more targeted way. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 5. Number 5, chickpeas. Good for blood sugar, but limited for eyes. I want you to picture something very common. It's 7:30 in the evening, dinner is done, and you feel like you made a healthy choice. Maybe a bowl of chickpeas, a little hummus, something light. You go to bed thinking you did your body a favor, but the next morning your eyes feel slightly off, dry, a bit blurry, not as sharp as they used to be, and you don't connect the two. Chickpeas are without question one of the better choices when it comes to blood sugar. They're rich in fiber, they digest more slowly than refined carbohydrates, and during the day they can help stabilize glucose levels. For many of my patients over 60 who are trying to manage pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, chickpeas are a step in the right direction. But here's where the nuance matters, and this is something most people are never told. Supporting blood sugar is not the same as directly supporting your eyes, especially at night. As we age, the issue isn't just glucose levels, it's circulation, inflammation, and how efficiently oxygen and nutrients reach the retina while you sleep. Chickpeas don't do a bad job here, but they don't do a targeted job either. They lack certain bioactive compounds that specifically help protect the tiny blood vessels in the eyes, or reduce the kind of oxidative stress that builds up overnight. There's also the question of timing. In your 60s and beyond, your body processes carbohydrates more slowly in the evening. Even a healthy food like chickpeas, if eaten in larger portions late at night, can keep your blood sugar slightly elevated longer than you realize. Not enough to cause symptoms you feel immediately, but enough over time to place subtle stress on those delicate retinal vessels. So, what should you actually do with this information? Keep chickpeas as part of your daytime meals where your metabolism can handle them more efficiently. If you enjoy them in the evening, keep the portion modest. Think a small side, not the main dish. Avoid heavily processed versions with added sugars or excess sodium, which can quietly counteract the benefits. And pay attention to your body. If your vision feels worse in the morning after certain meals, that pattern matters. Chickpeas are a good foundation. They help stabilize one piece of the puzzle. But when it comes to protecting your vision after 60, especially during those critical overnight hours, they don't go far enough on their own. And that brings us to the next one, which starts to do something chickpeas simply can't, supporting the actual blood flow to your eyes in a much more direct way. Number 4. Lentils. Antioxidants, but not targeted enough. There's a moment I see often, and it's easy to overlook. You're sitting under a reading lamp in the evening, holding a book or your phone, and the words just don't feel as crisp as they used to. You blink, adjust the light, maybe even clean your glasses. But something still feels slightly off. Subtle but persistent. Now, many people in their 60s and beyond start reaching for foods they've heard are good for antioxidants, and lentils are usually high on that list. And to be fair, lentils do offer real benefits. They're rich in polyphenols, they help reduce oxidative stress, and they support overall metabolic health. From a general health perspective, they're a solid choice. But here's where we need to be precise, especially when we're talking about protecting your vision. The kind of oxidative stress that affects your eyes, particularly the retina, is very specific. It's not just about having antioxidants in your diet, it's about whether those compounds can actually reach and protect the delicate structures inside your eyes, especially during the overnight hours when repair processes are supposed to happen. Lentils provide broad systemic antioxidant support. Think of them as helping your body overall, like maintaining the walls of a house. But when it comes to your eyes, especially after 60, the issue often lies deeper. In microvascular damage, reduced blood flow, and localized inflammation that lentils don't directly target in a meaningful way. There's also the practical side. Lentils are often eaten in larger portions, soups, stews, or as a main dish. In the evening, that can become a problem. Even though they're considered low glycemic, a full bowl late at night can still place a mild but prolonged demand on your glucose regulation system. And at your age, that system doesn't respond as quickly as it once did. That prolonged elevation, even if small, can quietly contribute to stress on those tiny retinal vessels. So how should you use lentils wisely? Keep them in your routine, but shift them earlier in the day when your metabolism is more active. If you do have them in the evening, keep portions modest and avoid combining them with other heavy carbohydrates. Focus on balance, pairing with healthy fats or non-starchy vegetables to reduce the overall load. Lentils are supportive, no question. They help create a healthier internal environment. But when we're talking about your eyes, about protecting your vision in a targeted, meaningful way, they don't quite reach the level most people assume. And that's where the next one starts to stand out. Because it doesn't just support your system broadly, it begins to improve something your eyes depend on every second. Consistent, efficient blood flow. Number 3, black beans, circulation support. Have you ever noticed how your eyes take longer to adjust when you walk from a bright room into a darker one? Or how night driving feels just a little more uncomfortable than it used to? That hesitation, those few extra seconds your vision needs, that's not random. In many cases, it's a circulation issue. As we get older, especially past 60, blood flow becomes less efficient. The vessels that supply your eyes, particularly the retina, are incredibly small and sensitive. They rely on steady, consistent circulation to deliver oxygen and nutrients. When that flow slows down even slightly, your visual performance starts to change. Not all at once, but gradually, subtly. This is where black beans start to offer something meaningful. Black beans are rich in compounds that support vascular health, including flavonoids and naturally occurring nitrates that help improve blood vessel flexibility. In simple terms, they help your blood vessels relax and expand more easily. That matters because stiff or narrowed vessels can't deliver nutrients as effectively to delicate tissues like the eyes. I've had patients tell me their eyes feel tired by the evening, or that they need brighter light to see clearly. While many assume it's just aging, part of that experience can come from reduced microcirculation. The eye is one of the most metabolically active organs in your body. It doesn't store energy, it depends on a constant supply. When circulation dips, function dips. Now, black beans won't fix everything, but they do something important. They support the delivery system, they help improve the conditions your eyes depend on. From a practical standpoint, black beans are best used earlier in the day or in a light evening portion. A small serving with dinner paired with healthy fats like olive oil or avocado can enhance absorption and support vascular function without overwhelming your system at night. Avoid heavily salted canned versions when possible or rinse them thoroughly to reduce sodium, which can work against vascular health if intake is too high. What I want you to understand is this: improving circulation is one piece of protecting your vision, but it's not the whole picture. You can have better blood flow and still struggle if inflammation, blood sugar, or cellular stress aren't addressed at the same time. And that's exactly where the next one begins to stand apart. Because it doesn't just support circulation, it starts to protect the actual nerve signals between your eyes and your brain in a way most people never consider. Number 2, kidney beans, nerve support. Sometimes the problem isn't what your eyes see, it's how your brain receives the signal. I've had patients tell me, "Doctor, everything looks a little dull. Not blurry exactly, just not as sharp." That distinction matters, especially after 60, because vision isn't just about the eyes themselves, it's about the nerve pathways that carry visual information from your retina to your brain. As we age, those pathways can become less efficient. The optic nerve and the surrounding neural network rely heavily on proper nutrition, stable blood sugar, and low levels of chronic inflammation. When those systems are off, even slightly, you may notice slower visual processing, reduced contrast, or difficulty adjusting between light and dark environments. It's subtle, but it adds up over time. This is where kidney beans begin to play a more specific role. Kidney beans are rich in B vitamins, particularly folate and vitamin B6, which are essential for nerve health. These nutrients support the production of neurotransmitters and help maintain the protective covering around nerves, known as the myelin sheath. Think of that sheath like insulation around an electrical wire. When it's intact, signals travel quickly and efficiently. When it's compromised, signals become slower and less precise. For someone in their 60s or 70s, this becomes especially important. You may not realize it, but even mild deficiencies or imbalances can affect how clearly and quickly visual information is processed. That's why some people say, "My eyes check out fine, but something still feels off." Often the issue isn't just the eye, it's the connection. Now, kidney beans won't reverse nerve aging, but they can help support the system that keeps those signals functioning properly. From a practical standpoint, incorporating them into your routine 2 to 3 times a week can be beneficial. They work well in simple meals, mixed into a light dinner with vegetables, or as part of a balanced lunch earlier in the day. If you choose canned kidney beans, rinse them thoroughly to reduce excess sodium. If you're preparing them from dry, make sure they're fully cooked. Undercooked kidney beans can be harmful due to natural toxins that are neutralized with proper cooking. Portion size matters too. Keep it moderate, especially in the evening, to avoid placing unnecessary strain on your digestion and glucose regulation overnight. What I want you to take away here is this: kidney beans help support the communication system behind your vision. They don't just nourish the body, they help maintain the clarity of the signal itself. But even when circulation is supported and nerve function is nourished, there's still one critical factor most people overlook: what's happening inside your body during the hours you're asleep. And the next one addresses that in a way none of the others do. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 1. Okra, the only one that works while you sleep. I'm going to say something that may surprise you, not because it's complicated, but because it's so often overlooked. The food that can quietly support your eyes the most at night is the one many people avoid because of its texture. I'm talking about okra. Now, if you're over 60 and you've noticed your vision feels worse in the morning than it did the night before, slightly blurrier, more sensitive to light, harder to focus, that's not something to ignore. In many cases, what's happening isn't just eye aging, it's the result of what your body is dealing with overnight. Blood sugar fluctuations, low-grade inflammation, and stress on the tiny blood vessels that feed your retina. Okra works differently than the beans we've talked about so far because it doesn't just support one part of the system. It influences several of them at once, especially during those overnight hours when your body is supposed to be repairing, not struggling. When you eat okra, particularly in the evening, it forms a natural gel-like substance in your digestive tract. I know that texture isn't everyone's favorite, but that's actually where much of its benefit comes from. That gel slows down how quickly carbohydrates are absorbed into your bloodstream. For someone in their 60s or 70s, that matters more than ever because your body doesn't regulate glucose as efficiently at night as it used to. Instead of a delayed spike in blood sugar while you sleep, a spike you may never feel but your eyes certainly do. Okra helps create a more gradual, controlled release. That stability reduces stress on the delicate retinal vessels, which are highly sensitive to even small fluctuations over time. But that's only part of the picture. Okra also contains compounds that support vascular health and reduce oxidative stress, both of which are directly tied to how well your eyes function. Remember, your retina depends on a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. Anything that protects those tiny blood vessels or reduces the damage they face helps preserve your vision longer. Now let's make this practical because this is where most people get it wrong. You don't need large amounts. In fact, more is not better. Start with a small portion, 2 to 4 pods, prepared in a way you can tolerate. Lightly sautéed with olive oil or roasted in the oven to reduce the slimy texture both work well. If digestion is a concern, cooking it thoroughly makes it easier on your system. Timing matters. The best window is with your evening meal, not right before bed, and especially not combined with heavy carbohydrates. Give your body time to process it while still benefiting from its stabilizing effect overnight. If you're taking medications for blood sugar, particularly metformin, it's wise to separate the timing by a couple of hours. The same property that slows glucose absorption can also affect how certain medications are absorbed. What I tell my patients is this: okra isn't a miracle, but it is one of the few simple foods that works with your body during the exact window when damage tends to accumulate quietly while you sleep. And when you combine that with what we've just covered, the right choices, the right timing, and understanding how your body changes after 60, that's when you start to see a real difference over time. Because in the end, protecting your vision isn't about one single food. It's about understanding the system and using the right tools at the right time. Important warning section. Before you start adding any of these foods into your evening routine, I want to pause for a moment because this is where good intentions can sometimes lead to the wrong results, especially after 60. The first thing you need to understand is that timing matters just as much as the food itself. I've seen patients begin eating more fiber-rich foods like beans or okra at night, thinking more is better, only to experience bloating, discomfort, or even disrupted sleep. And when your sleep is affected, your blood sugar regulation and eye recovery overnight can actually get worse, not better. Your body needs rest to repair, and anything that interferes with that process works against you. There's also an important interaction many people are never told about. If you are taking medications for blood sugar, especially something like metformin, you should not take it at the same time as a high-fiber food like okra. The same gel-like property that helps slow glucose absorption can also reduce how well your medication is absorbed. The simple solution is spacing them out by at least 2 to 3 hours, but that small detail can make a meaningful difference. Another point to be careful with is portion size. Even healthy foods can become a problem when eaten in excess, particularly in the evening when your metabolism is naturally slower. Large portions of beans can lead to prolonged digestion, mild glucose elevation overnight, and unnecessary strain on your system. Start small. Pay attention to how your body responds. That feedback matters more than any general rule. If you have a history of kidney issues, you also need to be mindful. Many beans are high in potassium, and while potassium is essential, too much can become a concern depending on your kidney function. This is where it's important to stay in communication with your healthcare provider, especially if you've ever been told your kidney numbers are borderline. And finally, I want to be very clear about something. None of what we're discussing here replaces your prescribed treatment. If you're managing diabetes, high blood pressure, or any eye condition, these foods are meant to support your system, not substitute for medical care. Used correctly, these small changes can work with your body, but used without awareness, they can quietly work against it. At this stage of life, the body doesn't fail loudly, it changes quietly. The eyes especially reflect what's happening beneath the surface. Small shifts in blood flow, sugar control, and inflammation can build over time without clear warning signs. That's why understanding your body matters more now than ever. Not reacting late, but adjusting early. The difference between maintaining your vision and slowly losing confidence in it often comes down to small, repeated choices. Over the next 1 to 5 years, those choices will shape how clearly you see, how safely you move, and how independent you remain. The encouraging part is this: you still have influence. You don't need perfection, just consistency and awareness. Because after 60, it's not the big changes that protect your health, it's the small ones you're willing to repeat every day. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms. It was wonderful.